Okay, so let's go through a couple of additional case studies to make it even more tangible. So one case study which I find particularly interesting is YouTube, because most of the course content is around Instagram, TikTok, influencer marketing. But I think YouTube is a very, very valuable channel for D2C. I think if you compare, right, Instagram, TikTok versus YouTube, like some of the major differences are that YouTube is really focusing on long form content, while you have the shorts right now, but the long form content makes it ideal for long form product reviews, right? And also the content is evergreen, right? On Instagram and TikTok, what you see is like this significant spike in revenue and then it drops off. With YouTube, it's a little bit more constant, right? Evergreen. If you have a lot of YouTube videos up, the views will accumulate over time, and it also helps to normalize your revenue spikes a bit if you have a strong focus on influencer marketing, right? So we have a case study. It's actually this one. The link is in the description as well. In the blog section, you can go to resources and into case studies. You come to this section. You have to scroll down a bit. It's this 100K YouTube influence campaign case study. And what I will do is I will just explain how this went. Okay, but for a more in-depth and detailed explanation of this case study, just read the written case study. But yeah, what we did is we had a project. And we recommended to start again with affiliate and gifting on YouTube, which is quite tricky, honestly, because on Instagram and TikTok, right, you can ask for a story post or a reel. It's a little bit, well, it's a lot easier for a creator to just, create a quick story or create a quick reel versus actually making a YouTube video, right? So I wouldn't necessarily recommend to do a gifting campaign on YouTube always. I would recommend to allocate a budget for fixed payments for this. But it still shows it is possible, okay? So if you have a very limited budget, right, you can still do this. And I will show you how we did this, and it worked amazingly well. And I will walk you through the exact numbers, right? What was the cost, what was the ROI, et cetera, et cetera. So first, a few guidelines. It was in the US campaign. And then timeline-wise, what we did is we initiated the campaign in August. So we did some preparation in August. Then we started the outreach to the influencers on August 7th to 18th. And then content creation and receiving the videos between August 18th and October 6th. And then we moved into Black Friday on November 20th until December 8th. So the timeline was very tight because... right, as always, even with YouTube, the strategy was, okay, let's quickly identify the winning YouTubers and then try to get additional videos during Black Friday, right? So you can see here the timeline was quite tight. And it also made it quite difficult because, and this is super important if you're running an influencer campaign on YouTube, the creators, they need more time to make the videos because they need a studio, they have their equipment. So typically what you see is that creators, they plan ahead. So they make their videos actually a few weeks ahead of when they publish, right? So you as a marketeer, if you want to have your product included in those videos, you need to be prepared and do the reach out a lot more in advance. So this is definitely not recommended. I would start this, ideally during July or early August, maybe even June. So you can keep the timeline in mind. Okay, but it still worked. We reached out to 2,250 creators using obviously automation. In Influencer Hero, you can add as many creators as you like, and then we have our automated drip campaigns, including the follow-ups are automatic, and it all uses hyper-personalized triggers, right? I mentioned the personalized sentence, which is super valuable. Because of all of these tech automations, we got a stunning 32.7% reply rate. Right? So 735 creators replied to our outreach. Then we had an onboarding rate of 10.7%. Now there's a big drop off because it was an affiliate and gifting campaign. Right? If you have more budget, this would be certainly higher. But even with only offering free product in exchange for a YouTube video inclusion, we still got 240 creators to agree, right? But then we had quite a drop off on the posting rate, right? So only 62.5% of the creators actually made a video. But at the end, we received 150 videos, okay? And we sent out 240 products, right? So, well, obviously, you might be thinking, oh, you know, that's so shitty because we sent out products to them. But at the end, and they didn't make a video, at the end, you just need to make look, okay, bottom line, right? What's your ROI, right? Are you profitable? If yes, you continue, right? And it was, which I will show you in a second. Yeah, so the results, and this is also interesting. So end of October, the total revenue of this campaign was at 35.6K, but end of December, so after Black Friday, it was 109.9K, right? So this shows actually that the YouTube videos, they accumulate, right? Because of the evergreen type of content, right? It's not that you look at the beginning, like with Instagram or TikTok, and then it just stops, but revenue continues to accumulate, okay? And this was actually a screenshot from the reporting within the Influencer Hero dashboard. This is quite interesting, I think. Again, very, very strong power law distributions on YouTube as well. So here in October, and this one single influencer was so impactful, which I will talk a little bit more in a second about. But we see here this one creator made in the initial premiere video, she made 16.5K, but then at the end of December, because we got her to make a couple of additional videos during Black Friday, she ended with 61K in attributed sales, right? So I think that's a very astonishing thing. One YouTuber making 61K in revenue, the second one made 17K, etc., right? So a few interesting KPIs, right? Out of 154 creators, 113 YouTubers didn't make a single sale, right? $0, right? And that again, if you think back to session 1 where I tried to explain this, right? Most brands, they would stop, right? After 50 YouTubers. And if 50 YouTubers don't make any sales, you would think, okay, this channel is not working at all, right? You would give up. And that's why most of the brands have difficulties succeeding with influencer marketing, because you have to understand that one single creator can make the complete difference. And that was what happened here in this YouTube campaign as well. But we knew these numbers and we explained to the client, hey, look, this is the situation, right? Just allocate a budget for, you know, a certain amount of YouTubers, right? Ideally 200 or 100, right? And look at the average performance, right? But this is very interesting. 113 out of 154, sorry, did make $0 in revenue. And then 41 creators made 109K in total revenue. The top one influencer generated 57.9% of total campaign revenue, right? Just let that sink in, that one creator made more than half of the entire revenue, right? Even though we had 154 creators publishing and posting about the product. And then the top 3 creators combined generated 80.4% or equal to 85.8K in total campaign revenue. So these are again the strong power law distribution which you try to explain throughout this course, right? And then influencers onboarded. I think this is something which I just need to clean up the slide. So yeah, this is one more time the results overview, 35.6K end of October, then 109.9K end of December. And then we have the cost of goods sold plus shipping amounts to around 8.4K. The total compensation was 22K. And actually, I'll explain in a second, this could have been a lot lower. The package we had with the top one creator was quite expensive, still profitable, but quite expensive. But this comes down to an overall return on ad spend or return on influencer spend of 4.9x, which I think is still very, very decent and totally worth it if you look at the overall benefit for your brand, right? Because these are the immediate sales you make, right? And consider all the branding, brand awareness, right? Those YouTube videos are there. They continue to gather views over years and months coming. So yeah, I think this was a very good result. But what I want to explain a little bit more in depth, and that's actually also written in the case study here, 18K YouTube influencer partnership case study. This is quite interesting. This was a part of the YouTube case study, but this was the one influencer which I shared here, which made 61K. So this was one YouTube influencer. Like obviously, we were blown away when she made 16.5K in a single video. And this was, I think, just a few weeks before Black Friday. And we knew, okay, now we need to get this creator to make videos during Black Friday, right? Because if she makes 16.5K before Black Friday, she will for sure make a lot of revenue during Black Friday, right? So we started to reach out to her, and this case study here is explained quite well with the templates we used and kind of the roller coaster we went through, because she didn't reply because I think the package which we initially offered was just too low. She didn't reply. We kept following up, right? And at some point, I think we offered more than 10K in compensation. Here on November 20th, so this is 4 days before Black Friday, we increased the offer to 18K plus $600 in gifting retail value, right? And then she replied all of a sudden. She already recorded all the videos, but what she offered then is to just cut in a section into her video and include us. And I think we got 3 more videos during Black Friday. And I think it was, well, we paid 10K for it. So it was quite expensive. I think the returns are also in this case study. I have to double check. But at the end of the day, I think that specific influencer came down to an ROI of also around 4 or 5x. So you can double check in this case study. It's written in detail. So it was still worth it, right? I mean, 4 or 5x is still very decent. Maybe it was a bit less. But yeah, either way, I think this gives quite a good look into YouTube influencer marketing, how this works, right? The overall ROI 4.9x, and how that's done. So I hope you find a lot of value in this. This was not the last one. Next session, next week we have creator storefronts, which is a super interesting chapter to end this course with. But yeah, thank you for listening, and see you next week.